Welcome to everyone to another of our Wibster in Focus. It's Morgan Holmes here from Unlocking You. I can't even say my own business name. That's a challenge, isn't it? And we've got Kate from Colour Me Kate, two regular hosts, and we have our wonderful guest, Goshka from Body Be Great, who is a physio in Herne Hill. So we're going to learn a whole lot more about Goshka today, and I'm going to hand to Goshka to tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
Well, I am a physiotherapist specifically specializing in musculoskeletal. So anything to do with muscles, tendons, ligaments, rehabilitation post-surgery, strengthening before surgery. I also do have patients that have neurological issues. So that is an area that I do work in. But my majority of patients are all around, the hip pain, the shoulder pain, the neck pain, the lower back pain, chronic pains. Um, and why do I do it? Well, it's a long story. I started off as a personal trainer, and that was my passion. Like, I actually loved motivating people to take care of their bodies. And that was in New York. And I noticed that working for this particular gym, I was more intrigued and turned on by the patients that were not capable of doing the everyday things. So I would be drawn to patients with multiple sclerosis, patients post-stroke, patients with Parkinson's. It was just this natural draw that I had. And through working with those patients, one of them one day said, "My physical therapist wants to talk to you." And I thought, okay, sure. And I reached out to this lady and connected, and she offered me an opportunity to design exercises and work with her. So I would have my business parallel to hers, in helping her rehabilitate her patients. And we did that for 10 years together, plus, plus. Loved it. Loved it so much. Met a lot of surgeons. Uh, it was just so rewarding that in my 30s, after having two kids, I decided to go back to uni and become a physical therapist. That's how
Awesome.
I got here. And I
Wow.
continue doing what I love.
And
Yeah.
and so are there any, I mean, there's all the different, I suppose, types of patients there, but do you tend to work more with women or men, or it doesn't matter? I mean, are there any places there where you feel you have a real special connection or, focus on more so?
I would say out of that population, it would probably be more women because women tend to take better care of themselves, whereas a
Mm.
man will work through the injury. And I do work with men too, but by the time I get them, they are in chronic pain. What started off as a niggle now has turned into an 8 out of 10 discomfort, and it's constantly there through day and night. So it's a different type of rehabilitation. It's, teaching them what their limits are and what to. So the approach is different.
Mm. And how long have you been running your business in Perth?
So when I came back to Perth, I started working. Oh, I went to uni, finished Curtin here, so I became a physio here in WA. Finished and graduated 2016. Then I did a little bit of aged care, a little bit of private practice, but I always knew what I wanted to do. I always knew I wanted my own practice, and I always knew in what area. So I would say it's because of COVID that I have actually come out and became solo and started my own business.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So
It
that
is.
was
It's
like a
amazing.
huge, huge bonus for me.
Yeah, you actually hear, quite often how because of COVID, people
Mm.
took a bit of a different direction, started doing something a bit different, or
Yeah.
started their own business or whatever. I mean, for me, I started doing actually a lot more things online, which I wouldn't have thought. And now it's something that's just, it's easy and I've embraced it. But for you, it was starting your own practice, which is
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I found myself, the place I worked for ended up getting closed. And so I found myself without a job, a mum, single mum with two kids with a rental where the lease was coming up and I didn't have an income. So just how the opportunities came, I ended up moving into Swan Valley because there was accommodation available. And then through that, it just grew.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So
5 years later, I'm still here.
and going strong by the sounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going strong.
And
Can I ask
busy.
a quick?
Yeah, go.
Yeah.
Can I jump in? So you work more with women than you do with men. Are there any specific differences that you see when you're working with women? Are men more the sporting injuries and women are more something else? Or how does it look?
So because I'm located in the Swan Valley or Herne Hill, um, a lot of the men that I end up dealing with are farmers.
Mm.
So, and men who own property and work with horses and, a lot of, I wouldn't even say hobby farms, but, life farms. And so by the time I get to see men, they push themselves to the limit. They've done what they could on their own and, lugged that weight and pushed that concrete and poured that concrete. So their wear and repetitive injuries are different to women.
Yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
we as women tend to do different kinds of work. And I don't know, I'm finding that over the past few years, most of the women that I have seen have been like perimenopausal, menopausal, and then that whole new chemistry change comes into the life, and you have different issues that come up. And there's all this new research now on, menopause and HRT, and it's just so wonderful to be diving into that with women and seeing how that marries up with physio, and you can help.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I'm certainly, and it will be the age that I am at the moment. I'm certainly seeing that more and more of my clients are in that perimenopausal and beyond stage. And yeah, and we all have the same complaints. It's like this
Well,
group
because estrogen
club.
is so protective, right? So if you take estrogen away from us, it protects our brain. So all of a sudden you have find yourself in a brain fog, emotional, unable to, multitask as effectively. You put your kettle in the fridge and your milk in the cupboard, like, without even thinking about it. So you're still requiring all the functional everyday abilities, but your hormones have changed. Then it also, is protective to our gut. It's protective to our bones. So I also deal with women, and I run osteoporosis classes. I also run, hip and knee osteoarthritis classes. So, things around strengthening and, for everyday life as we get older.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What a great
So important, isn't it? So important. I digress slightly. I saw this funny reel recently, and it was a bunch of people probably in their late 60s and 70s. I'm totally guessing at age, but a lot older than what I am, let's put it that way. And they'd done a group photo, and half of them were sitting down in the front, and then it shows them all trying to get up from the ground.
I think I just thought, thank God I wasn't in that picture because that would have been me.
And it just reminded me, so I digress, but on a serious note of stay strong, I don't, because that's the trick. You don't want to be that you can't get off the ground. So,
Yeah.
so really, really fascinating, and fascinating what you spoke there about how estrogen does all those things for us, because I think I know I have, and I'm pretty sure Kate has felt that moment where you go, oh my God, the brain that I used to had, it's like there's been an upgrade that wasn't an upgrade, and I can't rely on it to do what it used to. Exactly what you spoke about.
And even, with joints, like I find a lot of women all of a sudden wake up one day and they've got bursitis of the hips and bursitis of the shoulders, and the wrists and fingers hurt and they can't bend forward as much. And you're thinking it's not just one joint at a time, but they're experiencing it all over at exactly the same time. So the first thing I'd be looking at is, where are your hormones? Like what's happening there? in the systemic body to make all of that flare up at the same time. So yeah, it is. It's very interesting, and I'm loving the shift. It's all new. HRT is all new. There's been all this research that's come out around menopause and how estrogen is to be taken compared to, you know, the old research that they did around how it can cause breast cancer.
Yeah.
So all of that has changed, and it's just fascinating and wonderful. Wonderful for us as we get older.
Yeah.
Yeah, finally.
Yes.
So fascinating. We're getting off our track with our questions that we have, but that's absolutely
As we
fine.
do.
Well, we do that, you know, distracted easily. Squirrel, there it goes again. Anyway, so my next question for you is, what's one thing that not many people know about you?
Probably that so they know that I lived in New York for 16 years, but I dabbled in the movie industry for a while.
Oh.
So got a chance to be on a few movies as extra. Got a chance to meet a lot of famous people like Goldie Hawn and Steve Martin and Tim Robbins and a whole bunch of stuff. So that was like a chapter in my life that, you know, would have never been had I not traveled.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. You win. You win.
We don't, I don't know
I
anyone
didn't realize it was a win-lose game.
Wow. That's a good one. Okay, you definitely win on that. We haven't got anything like that. I love it. Okay. So now let's go on to our next question, which is, what's one of the biggest challenges that you have overcome being a woman in business and running your own business?
I gave that a lot of thought. And I'd have to say, because I came into this field from a place of love, like it lit me up. I loved giving. I got so much more out of giving than, you know, getting back, that when the time came to actually look at it as a business and as a career, it was the self-worth. How much do I charge? Am I good enough for that? What's the competition out there? Now, the competition charges more. There's always this inherited conversation I find around women in business. And, you know, we cap ourselves. We are taught that we make less. Maybe we should or shouldn't, but we are taught that we do. And then I find that I'll compare prices and go, well, am I good enough? Of course I am, but it's the self-worth conversation. And so nothing from the outside, it's been, if anything, it's the internal conversation around self-worth that has been the most challenging. You know, every time something comes my way and I'm thinking, okay, so this is the opportunity to raise prices, or, you know, charge for travel time or whatever. It's always very confronting to me because I don't know, I don't mind giving that away. It's not such a big deal, but yet it makes a huge difference to my quality of life.
Yeah. And that self-worth challenge, or that limited mindset around it, then flows. So that's an example of it flowing into a finance or a money mindset. But it also can flow into, for others, it might be that self-doubt on different decisions, or not wanting to put themselves out there. So it can look quite different to different people. That's for sure. So have you got any tips or what's worked for you to get past it or to make progress? I won't say get past it, because I think these things often are with us for a long time and they catch us out when we least expect it. But to make progress.
So I have been working really hard on myself and learning tools around money and my relationship to it. And that was a big one. So, you know, I had a degree I finished in New York, and then I came and finished a degree here. So there was constantly this burden of debt hanging over my head. And the conversation that came with it is this is just part of life, and maybe it was a scarcity conversation. But I've turned it on its head and look, one of the things that are new to me and I've started doing and I'm just loving is learning how to invest, by myself, not going through the big scary companies, but just little things here and there and planning my future and seeing a brighter opportunity versus thinking that this is just a week to week, phenomenon of making money and spending it and having nothing to look forward to. So, yeah.
It sounds really empowering. It sounds like you're
It
feeling
has
empowered.
been. It has been. And look, I've got 2 daughters. And so, if I don't change the conversation, they're just going to inherit my crap.
Yeah, yes, they do.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've been doing it openly and they've been watching me and, it's been scary. It's to buy my first stock was just freaky. But now that I've done it once and, just sit there and watch the stock market and, I see it as a hobby. So it's a lot more fun. It's not such a scary conversation.
Yeah, good on you. That's
Thank
a
you.
brave leap to take.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's a really good example too of doing stuff, parts of our lives which are like maybe they have a bigger or a different horizon, like a global horizon or a national, rather than they take us out of our little world, our perspective shifts. When we talk about coaching people, and coaching people is about helping them to see themselves from a different perspective. And you want short term, you want medium term, you want long term, you want global or local. So different perspectives are really powerful. And it sounds like that's a tool that helps you do that too.
And there's also, like it's easy to box myself in. I'm a physio. But there's just so many more layers to just me being a physio.
So if you
I'm a mum of 2 kids. I invest. I love writing children's books, even though I haven't published one, like little things in the background, things that heal me and add joy to my life.
Yeah. Did you grow up here in WA?
So I was born in Poland.
Aha.
And my parents came to Australia because Poland at the time was a communist country and there was martial law. So my father came as a refugee. And so I came to Perth when I was 9. Yeah. So we
Speaking
lived in
any
Perth.
English?
No, did
No
not know
English.
any English. Came to Perth for a couple of years and then off we went to live in Mount Magnet. Gee, that was exciting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, ended up going to boarding school in Geraldton for a year and then back to Perth. And then in my 20s, tried university, but did not know what I wanted to do. Was not happy with the career choice I chose. Then I transitioned to another one, and that wasn't happening either. And I thought, I could be a perpetual student. But like, at what point do you stop hiding behind books if you don't know what you want to do with your life and actually go out there and learn about who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and hopefully follow what you like that will lead you to what you love. And then once you know what you love, go back to uni and up-educate yourself.
Yeah. That's great. I've got a child at the moment who's 16 and we're looking at, career paths and that sort of thing. And the overlying message is just do whatever you're good at and you enjoy, because the chances of you still doing whatever you choose when you leave school in 5 or 10 years' time is so small, and they're expected to have at least 6 different careers in 6 different industries. So not job changes. So yeah. So you did a great thing in testing, finding out what feels good, what's filling your cup. So yeah, well done.
And I love that. I love that. I know that this inherited conversation that kids at the age of 18 should know what they want to study. I think it's very rare to come across a young adult at that age who actually
Yes.
has it narrowed down and has a passion and wants
It's
to follow
unfair.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've
yeah.
always said to my kids, I'm not paying for university if you do not know what you want to do with your life. You're going to work, get a job, make money, travel, and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Mm,
Good
interesting.
advice.
So, and you know, you revealed another thing there that probably many people don't know about you is that you were born in Poland. So, so many things you've got to put in that question and the answer to that question. So, where are we up to? Okay, what's one of the best decisions you've ever made?
Probably what we've already talked about. Deciding that hiding behind books in a university setting, especially when I did not know what I wanted to study, um, was not the way to go. And so what I ended up doing is I signed up for Camp USA and ended up going to the States and being a waterfront director in Minnesota. And that's how I ended up living in New York for 16 years.
Did you say a waterfront director?
Mhm. Well, Minnesota is the state of 10,000 lakes. So
Oh,
we would
okay.
teach kids at summer camps how to sail,
Oh,
swim,
okay. I get it.
fishing, you know, all that stuff.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And another thing we now know.
Yes. Yeah. Which ties in with the personal training sort of mentality and
Yes.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
all coming
awesome.
together.
We know so much now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously, still a lot on your plate with your own business. You know, you're diving into research and things that we heard about with people in menopause or perimenopause and things like that.
Yeah.
What are some of the tips and tricks that you have that keep you at your best?
You know, I think it's very easy to get focused on these big goals and head forward and not get present to where you are today. I think finding opportunities on a daily basis to spend time with loved ones, you know, be it your kids, be it your older neighbor, especially now with all the news that's going out there, none of it is nice. You know, you have neighbors that are older and are stuck home watching TV because that's all they can do. Being able to just go in there and find an opportunity for them to turn that box off and spend some human connection because it's really easy to get fearful listening to all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
connecting is one. And then, of course, for me is around my health, you know, finding an opportunity every day to either go to the gym or go for a walk or go to the beach for 20, 30 minutes. Just an opportunity to connect with yourself and with people that are close to you.
So powerful. And
Really is.
you know, we are so connected in our world today, yet we are often so disconnected.
Yeah.
We're connected digitally,
Yeah.
but not the human to human.
No. And it's damaging.
Oh, very, very, very damaging. And like what you spoke about then, Goshka, in terms of TV and news and all the negativity stuff around there. I think it's a really important thing to be very aware of and conscious of is what are we choosing to think about? What are we choosing to let come in, to observe, to be around? Sometimes it's people, if they're really, really negative. What
And you
choice?
have very little impact, right? You can hear all the news of all the stuff that's going on across the side of the world. And it's great to know it. But then do you need to rewatch it like 9/11 every day for 6 to 7 to 8 months? I mean, knowing about it and watching it doesn't you don't have an impact. But you can impact the people close to you and you can impact your mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
something inherent in our human nature
Mm.
that keeps drawing us back, you know, to watching those things.
Yeah.
It's a bit like watching a car crash, you know, and you can't help but rubberneck. You can't help it.
Yeah.
So we're in some ways we're our own worst enemies. We're not protecting ourselves because we can't stop watching. If we could, as a human race and we were no longer interested, it wouldn't be on the television because it wouldn't be selling advertising space and sponsorships, and they wouldn't be putting it in front of us because no one would be watching.
Well, so the interesting thing on some of this
Mm.
is that you can talk about what we talk about, reactive mind and creative mind. So a creative mind is when we are choosing how we respond to any given situation.
Mm.
We're not just automatically reacting. We're not in our reptilian brain. There's part of it that takes over when we see a threat, and we're not in that space where we just react. Now,
Yeah.
some of the thinking would go that something like 60 or 70% of the population lives most of their life in a reactive mind.
Yeah.
When my basic human needs of being safe, secure, belonging, and being loved and being valued and worthy are what drives how I react.
Mm.
60 to 70% live most of their life in that space.
Mm.
And to your point, Kate, so it's not a choice of do I watch this or not? It's just a reaction.
It's just, yeah. Yes.
If we're aware of the negative impact it's having on us, and we have those moments that Goshka talks about in terms of being present with ourselves, present with our loved ones, that's often when we have that awareness to go, hang on a minute, what do I choose to do differently?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, which is kind of coming back to my point of you're absolutely right, but it's conflicting with being reactive, I suppose, which is that reptilian part of our brain. But it's that self-awareness and introspection and education to some degree of being able to understand, okay, this is what I want to do. Actually, it's not good for me. So do that instead, and I'll feel better as a result.
Yeah.
What I want to add to that is I think, the reactive part is such an inherited conversation. We all do it. That even when you are self-aware, you will have that initial reaction as reactive, but part of being self-aware is to catch yourself being reactive, and then you get to make a choice. I think there's very few people that I've met that are not reactive. Some people go through life and no matter what you ask them, the first response is a no to everything, even the stuff they want. It's been no. And then they'll stop and go, well, actually, that's not what I meant. But I think that pause to go, oh, I've just reacted. And now I get to take that back if that's not what I meant and choose something different. But it's not easy to do.
No, and it takes a lot of practice. And that's the Viktor Frankl idea, that is between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, we can choose the meaning. That is our opportunity for our freedom and our growth. So that space could be a millisecond, but that space could also be a life experience, say something that happened to you 10 years ago. You could now pause and be reflecting and reframe the meaning, and you have a new meaning going forward and growth. So the pause can be milliseconds or decades.
Yeah.
It's about the meaning. So exactly what you were saying is exactly right.
And it's a skill, isn't it? Because you get caught up in this constant record replay of your experience and what you meant it mean. Sometimes you actually need a person to go, hey, you actually can reframe that.
Yes.
And then you go, wow.
Yeah.
It was a knee-jerk reaction.
Like yeah.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
We could go down that.
We could. See, we've gone off on another tangent already.
We've got one last question to finish on, and it's what collaborations or opportunities are you looking for during the rest of this year and future years? What are you looking for?
So I've always had this little vision in the back of my head around more of a holistic approach. And I'm very reluctant to talk about it because, they say you talk about your dream and you put it out there, you might just have to own it. But one of my fantasies one day would be to have a facility like a spa where on site, and this is not me inventing it, this actually exists all over Europe. So in Europe, people if they have health issues, stress issues, or heading towards a breakdown, get a GP to prescribe a escape to 2 or 3 weeks to a solarium, right? And we don't have anything like that here. And I think it'd be so lovely to have a facility where maybe you get a healthcare professional to refer you, or maybe you can just decide to go on your own, where you would have, a body movement aspect, a mental release or connecting with yourself, either journaling or meditation, or along with discovering where you are and traveling and seeing the place and, the new location. Something that obviously involves other people within the health industry, but that is so much more of a holistic approach where you actually get to unplug from the stress of life, providing for other people. And in those 2 or 3 weeks, you just take care and tend to you. And you wind your central nervous system down. You get back to basics. You walk out, recharge, and go, okay, I can do another 10 years, or 2 or 3 or whatever. So that would be like my fantasy of owning something like that and running it.
That sounds like it's something that has, when you were talking, it reminded me of a modern day, more sophisticated version of the wealthy Victorians, as in the era, as not the county, state, who went somewhere to take the waters. And they went to a spa and everything was fresh and it was all beautiful, and they did those activities, and it was for their mental and physical well-being. It sounds wonderful.
Yeah, so it's like that mental well-being combined with the physical well-being and taking care of you.
Yeah.
So you leave people behind, and for that 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, you just focus on you, which will recharge you to go back and be there for the people that you need to be there for. Yes. I just don't think we do that for ourselves enough.
No, you're right.
There's too many demands, too many distractions, too much technology drawing our attention. So yeah.
Yes.
I love it. I love it as a vision and a goal and a dream of what you can create. Is there anything specific in terms of that people could help you with this year in 2025, or ways maybe that you're growing your business at the moment to help you get there?
Yeah.
So my business at the moment is just really full on, and I'm trying to stay above water. I think I'm one of these people who needs a week in one of these vacations.
Can we come?
Yeah. So I have not figured that out yet. I think at the moment, my clinic is, I have a clinic attached to the home where I live. So it's like a separate entrance, separate everything. And I think the next step would be to actually take it out of the house and locate it somewhere else. But I have no idea how that would look. And then, there's also different costs versus overheads where I have now and where I'm heading.
Yeah.
And so it's a conversation that I've started, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to go.
Yeah. Where are you located?
They're all steps to be taken, which make me nervous. It's like buying my first stock.
But that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
Herne Hill.
Oh, yes, you did say, yeah.
Yeah, around the Swan Valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, if people wanted to reach out to you to book a physio appointment in your busy schedule, but you're always looking for new people, I am sure.
Yes.
What would they do? Can they just go onto your website and make an appointment?
Yeah, you can just go onto my website, www.bodybegreat.com.au, and you can book online from there.
Awesome. And Kate will put this onto the Perth Hills Women in Business Facebook group page thing, whatever you call it, and she'll also put that reference in there. Into the post. So anything else that anyone wants to add before we finish off?
No, this has been fun. Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, well, thank you.
Really interesting. I'm excited by your big vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, so am I.
It'll be
Yeah.
And
awesome.
nervous.
Yeah, well, hey, if you don't put it out there, you never know. And I'm a big believer of shoot for the stars. You might not
Yep.
get there, but you'll get a whole lot further than if you're looking at your feet. So,
True.
That's right. And it's good to be nervous. If you weren't, I think there would be something wrong with that. That would be questionable. But
Well,
no,
then I think
that
the
those
things that
tingly, sorry?
I said, the things that probably don't make you nervous are not worth going for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
Too much in your comfort zone, you're stepping out. Anyway, thank you so much, Goshka. We really appreciate
Thank you.
your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Morgan.